Join me as I take you through my budget for the month of July. In this video, I'm going to go through a full breakdown of exactly where all of my income's coming from for the month of July and how I'm splitting that up across the various different areas of my life via my budget spreadsheet. In this video, you'll get to see exactly how my finance system works. You'll get to see how I track all the income I've got coming in, and then probably most importantly, how I track that income as it leaves my account to pay for the different areas of my life. So whether that be the fixed costs I have, such as bills and subscriptions, or whether it be spending money on things I want to have, or saving money or investing money, all of those things we're going to cover in this video. They're all part of my budget spreadsheet, and you'll get to see exactly how I'm splitting up my income and putting it towards each of these individual areas. By the end of the video, hopefully you'll be able to take some key tips and useful information out of this video that you might be able to apply to your situation and that you can apply to your budget to help optimize it for what you want to achieve. I do this video every single month, and I put my budget spreadsheet up on the screen so that you can see it. So if you want to go back and track through any of the ones that I've done previously, I'll link some of them down in the description, and you can effectively follow on my journey as I look to build my finances and hopefully eventually reach financial independence. That's the ultimate goal. But without delaying any further, what I'll do is put my budget spreadsheet up on the screen now, and then you can follow along as we go through for the month of July. You're going to have to bear with me as well. It's very, very hot in the UK at the moment, so please do cut me some slack as I go through this video. Okay, so on the screen now in front of you, you have my budget spreadsheet, and this is the tracker that I use to keep control of all of my finances every single month. So literally everything I have money to my name is all in this spreadsheet, and it's tracked through a variety of different tabs that we're going to go through shortly. Now, I'm aware that some of you may be new here watching this video. This might be the first one of my budget videos that you've seen. And if you have, then please do firstly stay tuned to this video. But secondly, I've got a more in-depth video, which I'll link down in the description, that just goes through exactly the finer details of how this spreadsheet works and how I built it, so that you can also build your own spreadsheet as well if you think it's something that would be useful for you and controlling your finances. So I'll link that down in the description below. I know there's also lots of you that are following on my journey at the moment, and thank you very much for all of your support so far. So I know that you'll know how this spreadsheet works. So very quickly, I'll just do a very quick overview of exactly how it works to get started, and then we'll get stuck into the detail of filling in all of the key different areas. Just a couple of things to note this month, where July is a little bit of an unusual month for me. Firstly, in that we're going on holiday this month, so there's going to be quite a bit of money that's coming out of my monthly pay this month that's going to be going towards my holiday, which you'll see when we go through the spreadsheet. You'll see exactly how that maps in. And the second thing also is that our remortgage is happening this month. It's going on as we speak. So we're moving from our old mortgage provider to our new mortgage provider. There's some fees effectively that we've got to cover in the short term, but will then end up being refunded back to us just because of the cycle of our mortgage deal. So you'll also see an impact of that in this spreadsheet, which I'll talk through at the time as well. But I think that's the only couple of major differences to get started. So just for a bit of context there for you. But just in terms of the spreadsheet itself that you've got on the screen here, so along the bottom, you can see that I have all of these different tabs. So the budget overview tab is where we are at the moment. Then the monthly budget tracker, that's where we're going to spend most of today's video, in this tab here. There's also a saving and investments tab, a pots tab, and a retirement tab. The savings and investments tab and the retirement plan I cover in a separate video that I also do monthly, which tracks my investment performance. So if that's something that interests you more after watching today's video, then I'll link last month's one down in the description, but also keep an eye out, because following this video will be my savings and investments video. So you can also follow on exactly how my investments are performing, the emergency fund that I've built over the last few months. All of that detail is going to be in that video separately. So we won't spend any time on those tabs today. And then the pot savings goals tab we will touch upon very briefly, because it does form part of my main budget spreadsheet, but we'll cover that when we get to it. So this is the budget overview tab that I mentioned. So on this tab here at the top, very quick whistle-stop tour overview, is that there are 6 key areas that really are the cornerstone to my monthly finances, which I'm hovering over up the top here. So you've got the 6 boxes. So in here, I've got my monthly net total income, which is what I've got coming in, the amount of bills, the cost of bills that I have every month that's going out, the debt payments that I'm making, any savings and investments, how much money I'm spending on myself, and then how much money that I've got left to allocate. Now you'll notice all these numbers are kind of zeros and high numbers at the moment. That's because we haven't been through and input all the information, which we will do shortly. when we've input all of that information, we'll come back to this budget overview tab, and on this budget overview tab, it will then, when all this information is pulled in, it'll then populate this pie chart here to show you how much of my income is split by all of these different individual areas. So a really helpful chart because it helps me stay in control. And if you're someone that likes to operate by the 50-30-20 rule or sort of another variation of that rule, then this pie chart will be really useful for you at the end. I've also got a wheel that tracks the debt that I'm paying off at the moment, which, please say, I'm making good progress with that, and we'll cover that in the video. The two amounts that make up this debt wheel, so how much of it I've already paid off here and how much of it I've still got left to pay. And then how much money I've got in my emergency fund, pension and investments, and my total net worth, which is just a vanity number really at the bottom because it helps me keep track of where I am. Those bottom three boxes are covered in that other video that I do, the savings and investments video. But that's just a quick overview of the budget overview tab. But let's go on to the monthly budget tracker, because this is where all of the magic happens really for this video. So you'll notice at the top we've got the same 6 boxes that we had on that previous tab. So they're the same 6 areas, and these areas get populated by what I put into this spreadsheet. Those numbers then pull through automatically onto the budget overview tab, which gives me then the detail that I need on that tab to know where I am overall for the month. So you'll notice, first of all, monthly net total income, which actually is a number that I've already got pre-populated as we're starting this video. So the monthly net total income relates to this box down here. And this box down here is the box I use to track all of the income that I've got coming in for every month. So you'll notice that that number at the bottom there matches that number up in there, because that's a combination of all of my income. So let's have a look at what income I've got coming in. It won't surprise you to know that my main source of income every month, as is for most people, is my salary. So I work in marketing. I work a marketing job in London, and you can see there, anyone that is quick at doing maths will know that I earn just over £50,000 a year for the job that I do, which means that I bring home that every single month as part of my salary. Very much my main source of income. I'm hoping to diversify my income. You'll see a few things noted down in here that might help me on that journey in the future, but at the moment, very much salary is still the main source of income that I have. I then have a couple of blank ones, so Fiverr and Etsy, which I'll just highlight both of those there so you can see them. So those two there really are on here as reminders to me that when I kind of got in control of a few things going on in my life, various different things going on, very busy at the moment, I want to push forward on both Fiverr and Etsy. So on Etsy, I'd like to sell get set up some digital products that I can just be selling in the background, one of which will probably be this spreadsheet that I've got here, which I will, for this video, I'll link in the description for you so you can make a copy of it if you want to. But in the future, once I kind of get up and going properly with this channel, I'd certainly like to be able to monetize variations of this spreadsheet. So that will be sold through Etsy. And then Fiverr is an app that really where you offer people your services for jobs that they need doing. It tends to be things like copywriting, data entry into Excel spreadsheets, designing things, all of that type of stuff. There's lots of things that you can do on there. If it's an app you're interested in earning a bit more money from, do go and check it out. And there's one extra. I'll come back to Airtasker in a second. In actual fact, no, I'll cover Airtasker now because we've just spoken about Fiverr. So Airtasker is my other real main source of income, and Airtasker is the same really as Fiverr. So you go and do jobs for people that need jobs doing, but it tends to be more manual labor kind of jobs, building flat pack furniture, gardening. They're the two areas that I spend most of my time doing. I had a really good month in June of accumulating income through Airtasker. I had lots of jobs, lots of repeat customers. Actually, I've worked for a lot of people now through Airtasker. For anyone that's been following on knows I've been doing this for over a year. So I've built up a bit of a client base. Quite often people come back to me wanting more work. That's where most of my income came from Airtasker in June, which is really good. So a really strong month there, extra £275 just from Airtasker. And then the other income I've got in here, which is not really income per se, but is money that I had left over in my account from the end of last month. So I had £250 left in my account, which you can see just tracked at the bottom there. So when you add all those together, it brings it to £3,656.86p, which is the same number that I've got up the top there. So yeah, that's the income I've got coming in. That's the good bit, the money flowing into the account. That's great. But now we need to go through how that money heads out and how it winds its way back down. So if we move over one step in this spreadsheet into my bill section, So a few changes in here this month for anyone that's been following on my journey previously will know there was a few other things in here. Numbers were a bit different. So I'll just cover those really briefly. So we are, as I mentioned at the start, we're remortgaging at the moment to a new mortgage deal. We've actually found a better mortgage deal that we were on previously. But what we're doing is paying a higher amount. We've got a lower interest rate, but we're paying off more of our mortgage every month. So that means that our total mortgage cost has actually gone up because we're paying off a bit more capital than we were previously. So the amount that we need to transfer into our bills account, which is a joint account between myself and my wife, we both transfer in 50% of all of our bills that are paid out of that account. We transfer in our money and then that's paid out. The amount that I need to pay in has gone up slightly this month. So you can see there that number's risen to £894. In that account, in that number there, that effectively is our mortgage, our council tax, our water bill, a couple of life insurance, income protection things that come out of that account. And I think that's the main elements that come out of that account. There are a few other things that also come out of that account, but I've got allocated separately on this spreadsheet, so I'll cover those shortly in a moment. So that's where that money goes into a joint account, and then it pays for all of our bills. We've then got other bills that we pay that don't come out of that account. So we've got our gas and electric. That number has stayed fairly constant for a while now because we're on a fixed tariff with our gas and electric. So that's half all of these bills apart from my phone, which I'll come to in a minute. All these bills are 50% of the total because I pay half and my wife pays half. So you can see I pay £61 towards the gas and electric, £14.30 towards the Wi-Fi, £8 towards our TV license, which we pay annually. So we save up the money every year, and then we pay for it when it's due for renewal. I think it's actually due for renewal very soon, our TV license. So I think we're probably due in the next, I think it might be September possibly. So it won't be long before we have to do the outlay for the TV license up front. And then there's my phone bill, which is my personal mobile phone. So that cost me the contract on that is £35 a month. So when you add all of those numbers up, you can see it comes to £1,013.39. So that's the cornerstone of my bills. There are some other things which we're going to go into that I also pay every month, but they're the main bills that I've got going out. So you can see that total there. And then how this spreadsheet works is I need to effectively square this account off. So I need to allocate money out of my income to cover this box on this spreadsheet. So I know that I need this month £1,013.39. So I put that in there, hit enter, and you'll see it changes from red to white and it squares that off. And then if we scroll up here, you can see that that number inputs directly into the monthly bills. And then you can see what my monthly net total income was over here, minus the monthly bills number. That's how much money I've got left to allocate. So that's how this spreadsheet works. And as we go through each and every one of these boxes, it will continue to allocate money to the respective areas depending on what we're spending it on. And it will keep chipping this left to allocate number down. When we've filled everything in, we'll come back to the top. We'll see how much money we've got left to allocate, if any money at all. I always aim to try and have about between £100 and £200 left in there for a buffer, really, just in case anything comes up that I'm not expected that I don't want to dip into my emergency fund for. So yeah, that's where we're looking, somewhere between £100 and £200 left in there. So next we'll move on to the subscriptions box, which you can see here. So not too much in here, it's fairly sort of run-of-the-mill stuff really. I've got a Netflix subscription that I pay for, an Amazon Prime subscription that I pay for, a Runner subscription that I pay for, and an Apple subscription that I pay for. So that's for there. I pay for all of those subscriptions outright because they're kind of, we've got subscriptions split between myself and my wife. She pays some other subscriptions that we've also got. So we just pay for those outright rather than splitting them all 50-50 because it works out, give or take, about the same amount. So that's those four numbers there. And then I've also got a direct debit, which I put in here because it's the best place to track it, which is just £10 a month that I transfer across to my niece because I became an uncle a year and a half ago now. So my niece has a junior ISA. I just transfer £10 a month into that just to help her build a little bit of money while she's young. So when you bring all those things together, it's £38.99. So I put that in there. And that squares that one off. You can see again that the bills has gone up slightly, the left to allocate has come down. So this spreadsheet all working as it should. The next one is a fairly standard one, which is our food shopping every month. So I know we do our food shopping on a Monday. Every week we have it delivered. I know that there will be 5 Mondays that we will need to pay for shopping before I'm next paid. We spend £80 a week on shopping, so £40 each between myself and my wife. So I know that 5 weeks, £40 a week, I know I need £200 for the shopping. So that's what I've put in there. I also go into the office a couple of days a week. So I like to I normally buy one lunch a week. I normally take leftover from a meal of some kind for one day, and I normally take, and then I normally buy lunch on the other day. So I know that normally costs me about £40 every month, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes it fractionally goes over depending on weeks and when I know I'm going to be in the office. So £40 allocated for that. And then £20 as a food emergency, just in case for any reason I need extra money for food. We host people for dinner, something like that, just a little bit of a buffer in there. So I know that one can be 260 and I can put that one in there. Next we've got my car, travel, insurances, like those types of things all pulled together. So this is the one that's had a little bit of a change, probably the biggest change actually since last month, and is a bit of a one-off in here. You'll see probably the outlying cost that stands out in here, and I'll come back to that and explain that shortly as to why that is. But we've got, we have a cat, so obviously there's a cat insurance policy that we pay for. So that actually comes out of our bills account, but I split it out from this bills number into the insurances section just so I have it separate, and I know it's there and how much we're paying for it. So I know that's £8.60 each a month for us, for myself and my wife. So £8.60 allocated in there. Same for home insurance. It costs us £20 a month. Well, actually, we pay for our home insurance annually, I should say. So I know it costs us about £230, I think our home insurance is for the year. So myself and my wife save £10 each, £20 a month across the course of the year to be able to pay that outright. Fuel, the outlier, I'm going to come back to that one in a second. Obviously, that's a huge amount, but I'll explain why shortly. DVLA tax for my car, which is the same every month. Not expecting any train travel for work or anything this month, so that one's a zero. Then we've got my car insurance, which I also pay for annually and then save the money up for, which is £30 a month, and a life insurance policy that I have, which you have to take out when you buy a home. We bought our home 2 years ago now, so still fairly new in terms of home buyer, but that means we have to have a life insurance policy to be able to cover our mortgage if anything was to happen to either of us. So £7.60 in there. So that's all of the other payments. Going back to the anomaly, fuel. So a big one for this one, and I mentioned this at the start of the video, and this is why I mentioned it, is that we're going on holiday this month, and we're off to Scotland. Really looking forward to it. In fact, when this video goes out, we will either be on our way or very close to already being there, depending on which day I end up releasing this video. So we'll already be en route for our holiday. We are driving all the way to the Isle of Skye in Scotland. So huge travel distance. We're doing it over 2 days. Really excited. I've been to the Highlands before, but I've never been to the Isle of Skye before. So yeah, we're really excited to go on that. My wife has never been before either. But because of the amount of driving that it will take to get all the way up there over the course of 2 days and all the way back, expecting a significant fuel cost there. So I know that I'll have my normal fuel cost of probably about £160 for the month, just going to and from work, because I normally drive to work based on my normal location. So that's about £160. We've then got the trip to Skye, which is great, but that will cost us quite a lot of money in fuel. And then also when I get back from Skye the following weekend, so we live down south in the UK, so I've got to come all the way back down, and then I'm driving all the way off the following weekend back up to Liverpool because I'm going to the Golf Open, which is really exciting. Never been before, going with my dad. So another long trip back to the north of the country and then back again. So loads of fuel this month, plus a couple of other trips to other family members south coast that are about an hour away. So going to spend a lot of this month in my car. So as such, big cost associated to fuel this month. So I knew that I was going to need to pay for that. So that's why I took on some of the extra Airtasker jobs. So yeah, £400 allocated. It might not end up being that total cost. It's hard to work out exactly how much it's going to be depending on how efficient my car is driving to and from Skye. But in principle, I think that's how much money I'm going to need this month for fuel. So when you bring all those together and then add it in at the bottom, it's £473.20, and that squares that one off. We've then got, as I mentioned, we've got a cat, the insurance policy in the previous box. Then there's a whole section for him just with things that we buy every month. So he doesn't need his dry food this month, so we don't need to pay for that. He does need more litter. He has a probiotic that he takes with his food, and this one here is his wet food. So all of those things we're going to need to buy this month. And then he's got treats at the moment that come free with his wet food, so no budget needed there. And then he's also part of the Healthy Pet Club, which helps reduce some of the vet bills and takes the cost away of the regular checkups that he had. He had to have an operation this year on his teeth, so we found this really beneficial to pay for this because the yearly cost was less than the amount of money it saved us for the vet bill for having his teeth out. So that was a real benefit. We pay £9.25 a month each for that. So £44.75 goes in there. And that squares that off. So that's all the expenditure. So that's everything that's going out in terms of like bills, costs, subscriptions, all of those sorts of things. So that's all covered now. So now we move on to one box that's really essential, and then one box that is an exciting box and is going towards my future. So we've got a debt payments box here, which for any of you that have followed on my journey for some time now, know that a while ago I was paying loads and loads of money towards debt through various different areas that myself and my wife had debt for, but really pleased to say we've paid most of it off now. So this number has come down significantly over the last few months, which is great. So there's £100 that I pay monthly, which goes to my wife. I pay that because she gave me a lump sum of money a couple of years ago now to pay off a loan I had on my car. She had a little bit of inheritance money, so we used that money to pay off the loan on my car because the interest rate was quite high on that loan, and then I'm paying that money back to her so that we don't have the interest payments coming out of our income. So not long left of that. I've got a few months left of payments on that, and then that'll all be sorted. Some last bits on a credit card that I've had very, very small amounts. So this £50 is paying off because I had to do an ID check for our remortgage, and this month that came up that I didn't realise was going to come up, so I hadn't budgeted for it last month, so I've put it into this month's, pay for it on my credit card. So it's just £50 there, and then £15 for another separate holiday or trip away, short trip away that we're going on in September. I just owed £15 left over on that from a previous payment. So yeah, quite not a lot really in there this month, which is great to see. That debt payments box has come down so much. In previous videos it used to be up in like £600-700 a month I was paying off, so now to be down to £165 a month is great, with the aim of obviously that being zero in the not too distant future. The next one is the good one, is the one that's building towards my future, which is the investments and savings pot. So in this one here, that's where I allocate all of my money towards future growth basically. So my emergency fund, first of all, covering that one off. So I've recently built a really big emergency fund. If you want to see the details of how much and how I've built it, go and check out one of my savings and investments videos because I cover it in lots of detail in there. But just for the purpose of this video, I recently saved up an emergency fund, got to where I wanted to get to with that. Then unfortunately a bit of instability has come in with my job at the moment, so I'm actually have made the decision to continue growing my emergency fund a little bit bigger in case I were to lose my job in the next month or two. It's a very real possibility for me, so something that I'm kind of consciously doing in the background is just building a bit more money towards that. I'll cover that more in this month's July savings and investments video as well, what my new goal is for that and where I want to get to. So that's the emergency fund. My pot savings relates to this tab down here on the spreadsheet, where I have a load of other different pots that I am sinking funds effectively that I'm put money in towards. We'll cover that one off in a minute, but there's £250 there this month, which is all going towards my holiday for this month. So it's all going into my travel pot. And then I have a stocks and shares ISA with Trading 212 that I contribute to every single month. That's because my ultimate goal with all of this is to be able to retire early. And to be able to retire early, I need not only money in my pension, but I also need money to be able to tide me over before I'm able to draw down on some of my pension accounts. So I have a stocks and shares ISA where I put money every month because that's working towards that goal of tiding me over between when I would like to ideally retire and when I can start claiming my pensions. Again, cover that in more detail in the stocks and in the savings and investments video that I do every month. But I know that I need 980 for that column, so I can put that one in there. A side note, which I'll just cover now for this one, is so the Trading 212 ISA and the emergency fund number, I'm actually not going to put straight into the accounts at the start of the month like I normally would, and I would normally say to people, like, always do your savings and investments up front so you know that money's out of your account. I'm not going to do that this month, only because we're due some fees to come through from our mortgage, or a very strange set of circumstances with our remortgage, because it's so close, the remortgage is so close to our regular payment date that there's going to be a crossover where we effectively have to double pay our mortgage, but it will then be refunded to us. So this money here is what I'm going to use. The stocks and shares ISA money and the emergency fund money is the money that I'm going to use to pay for the double payment on the mortgage, which will then be refunded back to me later in the month, and then I'll put it into the stocks and shares ISA and the emergency fund. It's all very strange. I spent a lot of time arguing with the solicitor on the phone over it, but in short, got to pay it. So that's what that money will go to. Then it will go into the respective accounts once I get it back. So it might just go in a little bit later next month than it normally would do. And then the last section is my fun money. So the money that I spend on myself every single month, the things that I like to do. So I've already got a load of things logged in here, just that I know that I'm going to need to pay for this month. I keep the kind of individual bits just personal, because they're personal to me, what I'm spending the money on. But in principle, I know that I'm going to need to spend a load of money. I'm in a place at the moment where I can allocate £600 a month to this section. It's the only section where I allocate money that is more than the money that I've necessarily think that I'm going to need, because there'll be other things that come up in the month, and I'd like the flexibility to be able to do other things as well. And some of those things are already in this money here, but I like to just be able to allocate a consistent amount that I know that I'm spending on myself to do the things I want to do every month. So £600 goes in there, and you'll see it turns that number green, which tells me that I still have 100. Sorry, I realise I'm going to retract what I just said. I'm actually £550 this month is what I said I was going to spend. Still green, so that gives me £100 I've still got left to spend on other things. So that's how this spreadsheet works. That's it all fully populated. So now when I scroll back up to the top, it will tell me how much money I've got left to allocate and if I need to make any changes to the spreadsheet. So let's scroll back up. And you can see in the left to allocate number that I've got £131 left in there, which is bang in the middle of where I want to be for, I mentioned at the start of the video, between £100 and £200. So that is right on the money. So really happy with that. Means I've got a little buffer if I overspend at all on the holiday or anything like that. Just got a little bit of extra money there. You can see all of these sections have now populated. So my total bills for this month is 1830. That's mainly because of that higher fuel cost. Normally this is around £1,500. My debt payment's 165, which relates to this one down here, which you can see is the same. Savings and investments is the 980, which is also the same, and the personal allowance 550, which leaves me that left to allocate. So that's all great. All tallies up, happy, no changes needed there. I can go to my budget overview tab and scroll back to the top. You can see those same 6 boxes at the top have all populated, and they're exactly the same as the tabs on the boxes on the previous spreadsheet. So the main thing that's changed is this wheel here. So you can see that I now have a populated wheel. If you remember at the start of the video, this was all blocked out in one color because it was all left over, but now I've got it allocated all across my different areas. So I'm spending exactly 50% of my money on bills. That includes that higher fuel cost. I've then got 4.5% that I'm spending on the debt payments, which is those debts, mainly the car loan going back to my wife. I'm then just over 25% is being spent on savings and investments, which is great. Like that's really 25% is about where I want the savings and investments to be every month. 15% also bang on what I want it to be for my personal expenditure. So also on the money there. And then it leaves me 3.6% left over, which is that £131 that was unallocated. So yeah, a great kind of snapshot of where my finances are at. You can use this for kind of like your 50, 30, 20 rule, depending on kind of how you're set up. Like my savings and investments kind of come to the 30 along with the debt. And then so hopefully I'll be able to wipe this debt number out and transfer that debt into savings and investments. And then you've got the 15% spending on myself plus the 3.5% remaining. So that's about 18.5% of the 20% that I'm spending really on stuff towards me. So yeah, that's kind of how the spreadsheet works. That's how it gets summarized. The only one that's really left to visit, which we haven't touched upon, is just my pots tab. I'll zoom this one in because it's a little bit zoomed out compared to some of the others. So I have some sinking funds that I'm putting money towards at the moment. So these are all my sinking funds for the year. So I've got health, my car, Christmas, travel, vet bills, my wife's birthday, collectibles and Pokemon. I've done some other videos on that, so I'll link them down in the description if you want to find out more about those. Not going to touch upon that too much in today's video. And then also another pot for anything else that I want to save money towards. Not putting massive amounts of money into different areas at the moment because I don't need to. But the main thing for me this month is the £250 that was on the monthly budget tracker. So if I scroll down here, and you can see pot savings, £250. That money pulls straight through into my travel section, which means I've actually got £335 that I'm going away with on our holiday this month, which is great. I'll be spending that money. Hopefully when you're watching this video, I'll be away spending that money. So that's the plan. So that's where that money's gone to. There's some other areas that I've been saving money towards, such as Christmas, health as well. I've put a bit of money into, but just pause those for this month so that the majority of my money can go towards travel. But other than that, that is pretty much it. That is exactly how my spreadsheet works and how I'm tracking all of my finances for the month of July. Okay, so there you have it. That is exactly how I'm tracking all of my income and all of my costs for the month of July. I've taken you through my budget spreadsheet there, showing you exactly where all the money that I've got coming in is coming from and how I'm splitting it up across all of the different areas of my life, where I'm prioritizing, where my money's going to. So hopefully you found that useful, and hopefully there's a useful information in there for you that you might be able to apply to your own situation. The budget spreadsheet that I took you through, I'll link down in the description, because at the moment I'm not charging for it. So if someone wants to make use of it, build your own version of that spreadsheet, I'll drop a link for it down in the description. You can kind of copy the formatting. I've also got a video that I'll link down below that shows you how to build one, how to build it yourself, how to go through it, how I kind of pulled all mine together. So I'll link all that down in the description. I'm always really keen to hear what people think of these budget videos. It's this one and my savings and investments ones are the ones that I do every single month. So if you've got any thoughts or feelings about the video, if it's really useful, or if you want to see some slightly different content, you want some of the other areas of the spreadsheet explained at all, anything like that, please do drop it down in the comments, because I'd always love to know exactly what people want to see from this type of content, particularly people that watch it every single month and kind of see my finances progress. So yeah, do drop that down in the comment. If you do like the content, you like the video, please do give this video a like, give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel. I do loads of other content, not just budgeting and saving and investing, but also some helpful and useful financial kind of tips and tricks videos that I run through that will hopefully help you improve your finances and reach those financial goals that you set yourself. But other than that, all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.